In what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? My movie trailer directly uses the main conventions of a horror film as the setting is of a forest at night, which has connotations of danger and mystery. Two films which have this are The Human Centipede and House of Wax. In The Human Centipede, the characters get lost in a forest and stumble upon an isolated house. However, in House of Wax, the characters camp in a field within a forest, where a mysterious person in a pickup truck is suddenly seen watching them. From this, I felt that having a forest as my main location was key to making my mise-en-scène look effective. In horror film trailers, we see part of Todorow's theory: equilibrium, a disruption, recognition of disruption, and attempt to repair. I've used this theory in action in my product to give it more of a professional look, as well as following conventions of other media products, such as Drag Me to Hell or House of Wax, where they don't show the return to equilibrium or the new equilibrium in order to convince the audience to watch their film and find out what happens. Although my product is focused on the horror genre, it focuses more on the subgenre of slasher due to some of the events shown in the trailer, such as the hostage's arm being chopped off. A shot like this would normally be expected in a film like Human Centipede and Saw, where the villain tortures his victims. I have given my hostage scene a filter which makes the audience think the hostage is under an ice blue light, which adds connotations of a surgical environment, which is used in the Human Centipede, where the male hostage is first seen strapped down to the bed. The use of props such as a large knife is expected in a slasher movie, such as the Scream franchise, showing that I am also following the conventions of a movie in my genre. To develop this convention, I have also made the villain use a syringe, suggesting that the character is experienced rather than a novice when it comes down to torturing his victims. To follow conventions, I have used some stereotypical characters such as a girl who is weak and becomes a victim, another girl who survives at the end of the film, and a male character who tries to overcome the killer. This is typical representation that many film industries use when creating films, such as IFC Films when creating The Human Centipede, and New Line Cinema when creating Nightmare on Elm Street. For my poster, I have made it clear that it is a slasher movie by having a knife dripping in blood, bloodstains, blood on the villain's clothing and gloves, and blood pouring out from under the girl on the floor. I have chosen to have this victim in the poster as a female due to their negative representation as being weak, and that in horror films you almost always have a female as the main victim. Following this convention, I have decided to have the villain as a male, as it is conventional to have a male villain due to their representation of being powerful and dominant. For example, The Human Centipede, House of Wax, and The Resident all have male villains, showing that I am following the traditional convention. Following conventions, I have edited the image on the poster. I have made the forest look dark and mysterious with the use of brightness and colour, giving it the connotation of being unsafe, which other horror movies have done. Two characters that I have used in the main image are the villain and the female victim. I have adjusted the image to show the narrative, which is that the villain has successfully murdered the female in the background and taken out her heart. This directly relates to the title of the movie, Organ Donation, as the victim has lost one of her vital organs to the villain's master plan. My main image gives away a lot of the main plot, which in professional horror movie posters you find quite often, such as the main image of the two posters which I have analysed, Human Centipede and Drag Me to Hell. My target audience for my film are teenagers to young adults. Due to the excessive use of blood, this image directly appeals to an audience that loves blood in horror movies. For my website, I have used a simple layout which is similar to the website of Human Centipede. However, I have given it a bit of a feel of the website for Drag Me to Hell, using the style of the main image. This is because I wanted to offer the simplicity of the Human Centipede website for those who are novice with computers, but visually appealing for like the website for Drag Me to Hell. Currently, all film websites have the same features. For example, the trailer on the homepage, links to social networking websites and YouTube, and the menu links such as gallery, downloads, and cast. I've included this as I want to follow the conventions of the professional websites, but also develop the convention by adding other links such as the reviews. This is something that the Drag Me to Hell website included on their homepage, and I thought that adding it would be effective in making my website look more professional. However, adding it would mean that I would take the simplicity out of my website away. Therefore, I added a link to it in the menu bar. How effective is the combination of your main product and ancillary text? One way in which I have showed that my ancillary texts are part of my main product is by using the same characters throughout. For example, the male in the surgical outfit of the main image can be easily associated with the villain in the trailer due to wearing the same clothing. Another example of this is the female in the background of the main image of the website and poster. To show consistency throughout, I have also made sure that she had been wearing the same clothing for the ancillary text from what you see her wearing in the trailer. My poster and website both look very similar. This is because I have used the same original images and effects to create them. However, I have adjusted the size and placement of the layers of the final product to make them look more visually appealing by avoiding being blocked out by other features of the product. For example, I have zoomed in on the background of the main image of the website so that the female in the background can be easily seen. Another way in which I have shown that my products all belong together is with the use of font. I have used the font Noctophobia on all of the products to emphasize this. For example, I've used it for the title and release date of the trailer, poster and website so that when the audience sees the font, it is directly related to my media products. What have you learned from your audience feedback? For my audience feedback, I have decided to use online forums such as Empire and the Student Room. I could have just asked people I know, however I felt that they would be biased and not mention any faults with my product in order not to hurt my feelings. I felt that using the forum would prevent this problem because no one would know me, and the users on the forum that I have used are generally within my target audience of teenagers to young adults. After posting my feedback request on Empire, I got a reply stating that work is not allowed to be posted on the forum, although on the Student Room I only got one reply which answered the questions which I had set out on my products. From this feedback I found out that overall my three products do fit together very well as targeting the horror genre. The feedback shows that the trailer and main image from the poster and website narrate the story fairly well. However, the trailer may be giving away too much of the plot, as the person who reviewed my product said what the new equilibrium might be, but I didn't want the new equilibrium to be shown in the trailer. Places where the reviewer said I could have improved on was on the appearance of the website, as where there are newer reviews being shown on the home screen, but I had done was to keep the simplicity of the Human Centipede website whilst still being visually appealing. Maybe the idea of not having the reviews on the home screen was not a very good idea. Also, I could have linked the trailer even closer to the website and poster by including the heart in the trailer, as this is shown on the villain's hand on the main image of the poster on the website. How did you use media technologies in the construction and research planning and evaluation stages? For my research and planning, I used YouTube to watch the film trailers that I was analysing for my texture analysis. It also provides the option to embed the YouTube video into a post on WordPress.com. Google was also a resource for my texture analysis, as it allowed me to get hold of the posters of the films, as well as find the film's website addresses. During the filming of my trailer, I have used multiple video cameras. This because after viewing the footage captured on a Mac, I was able to identify that the audio was muffled, making the speech of one of my characters unclear. To solve this, I've used two different methods. One method is to dub over the original sound with a clear audio recording of the scene using a dictaphone. The other method I used was to use a different camcorder that had a microphone input port that would allow you to record the audio of the capturing with a boom microphone. Although the first method is the quickest and easiest, I still decided to use the second method for some parts, as it also gave me the opportunity to improve the video if I felt it needed improvement. For further research, I used the blog to get hold of the article and book extracts, which were useful in gaining information on different types of camera shots and the uses of them. The blog was a good resource for gaining information, as it was easy to get access to, and it provided me with a checklist of everything I need to do for the planning side of the project. The blog was very useful as it was cloud-based, meaning that I could access it from anywhere. To make the trailer, I used Final Cut Pro, which I was fairly new to as I hadn't had much previous experience with. Using this program, I was able to capture video from old camcorders, which used cassettes to store the footage that I had captured. For the newer camcorders, I use a program called Visual Hub to convert the video clips to viewable and editable on Final Cut Pro. For some of my video clips, I've had to add effects to them in an attempt to make it appear to be at night. This is due to the lack of light the cameras had picked up during night, meaning that when watching a video it's almost pure black. Therefore, I had to film everything during the day and modify it to look like it's dark. I achieved this by adding a brightness and contrast filter on top of my footage and reduced the brightness to make the video darker, as well as adding a colour tint filter on it so that I could add more blue to give the video a feeling of the setting being cold night. When transitioning between some of my clips, I wanted them to fade. In order to do this, I had to use one of the transition tools from the Effects tab within Final Cut Pro. By placing at the beginning, ending, or between two shots, the tool would fade in or out of the video. In order to get the timing perfect, I was able to double-click the transition icon on the timeline to bring up another timeline, where I had control on how quick the transition would be and how much I wanted the clips to fade in or out by. When creating my posts on my website, I use Photoshop CS3 and CS4. This is a program that is used by many industries today to create detailed, high-quality graphics for their productions. I've had a good amount of experience using Photoshop, meaning I know a lot of the tools and features allow me to adjust the images to suit my genre. For example, for my background image of the dead girl, I wanted to make the image darker, so I used the variables tool to part darken the image and add a blue tint. I used the hue/saturation tool to further darken the image and remove most of the colour. Another tool which played a vital role in making the personal website was the lasso tool. I use this tool for such things such as adding blood trail to the dead girl in the background, cutting out the knife to make it look like the villain is holding it, as well as adding the blood effect to it. For the soundtrack of the trailer, I've used GarageBand, which is part of the iLife package, which is only available to Macintosh computers. I use this as it allows me to create my own sound effects or use the pre-made ones which are copyright free. This program then gives you the option to export the audio to an MP3 file which can then be read by Final Cut Pro.